In this class, we are going to learn how to solve word problem leading to quadratic equation. Okay, let's start with the first question. Find two consecutive numbers whose product is 156. Okay, we are given that the product of these two numbers is 156. Solution. What do we mean by consecutive number? Consecutive numbers are numbers that differs by 1. You understand? When we say that two consecutive numbers, those numbers differs by 1. That is, the difference between those numbers is 1. For example, let's say that the first number is 1. The second number will be what? Will be 2. You understand? The second number will be 1 plus 1. While the third will be 1 plus 1 plus 1. While the fourth will be 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. You understand? That is 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth and the fifth will be 4 plus 1. Do you understand? You see, when we talk about consecutive number are two consecutive number means that number differs by 1. For example, if you talk about if the first number is 1, the second number must be 2. You understand? If the first number is 4, the second number must be 4 plus 1, which is 5. You understand? Now let's go back to the question. The reason why I delve into that is that so that when you come across this question in exam, when you see two consecutive number are numbers that differs by 1. The difference between the two numbers is 1. Do you understand? Okay. Now we are given that find two consecutive numbers whose product is 156. We don't know the two numbers, so let us represent the number as x. Okay. Let the first number be, okay, the first number, let it be x. You understand? So the second number will be what? The second number will be x plus 1. Will be x plus 1. Do you know how I got this? I've already explained to you that consecutive number are those numbers that differs by 1. You understand? The difference between x plus 1 and x is what? Is 1. Do you understand? Okay. So we are given that the product of these two numbers is equals to what? 156. So we are going to take their product. X multiplied by x plus 1 equals to 156. Okay. So here I'm going to have x into bracket x plus 1 equals to 156. Now, let us open the bracket. X times x is what? X squared. Plus x times 1 is what? X equals to 156. Okay? So here, we can solve this. Let us rearrange this, the quadratic equation. You can see it's a quadratic equation, so let us rearrange it. So here I'm going to have x squared plus x minus 156 equals to 0. Do you understand? Okay, now we can solve this equation using the general formula or the factorization method, and we can as well use the completing the square method. Okay, so depending on any method that you want to use, but in this case I'm going to be using the factorization method. Peradventure, if you missed our class on factorization method, if you didn't know how to solve quadratic equation on factorization method, we've discussed that in our class. Okay, so if you missed the class, kindly check the description of this video or check the channel and check the click on the playlist quadratic equation. You are going to see numerous examples that I've solved. Okay, so here to solve this using the factorization method, the first step is that you have to think of two numbers because the coefficient of x squared is 1. We just have to think of two numbers such that when we take the product of these two numbers, we are going to have minus 56, and if we add these two numbers together, we are going to have my plus 1. We are going to think of two numbers such that when you take the product of these two numbers, okay, you are going to have negative 56, and when you add these two numbers together, you are going to have plus 1. Okay, if you all this we've discussed in our previous class, so if you missed the class, I explained very well in the class, so you can revert back to the class and watch those videos. Okay, now, so what are the two numbers such that if I take their product, I'm going to have minus 156, and if I sum them together, I'm going to have plus 1. Do you know where I got plus 1? The coefficient of x here is plus 1. You understand? So what are those two numbers? Let's check. What are the two numbers such that if I take their product, I'm going to have negative 156, and if I add them together, I'm going to have plus 1. The two numbers are plus 13 and minus 12. You understand? Plus 13 and minus 12. So let's check. Plus 13. Okay, you can. 13 is also the same thing as plus 13. You understand? 13 multiplied by 12 will give us 156. 13 plus minus 12 will give us, it's minus. 13 multiplied by negative 12, that will give us negative 156. And 13 plus minus 12 will give us 13 minus 12, which is what? 1. Do you understand? So those two numbers that I need are what? They are 13 and 12. So here I'm going to replace that the second term, which is the coefficient of x here. I'm going to replace it by these two numbers. You understand? So here I'm going to have x squared plus, instead of plus 1, I'm going to replace it as 13 minus 12. So I'm going to have plus 13 minus 12 x minus 156 equals to 0. You see, what I did here is that having known the two numbers such that if I take their product, I'm going to have negative 156, and if I sum them together, I'm going to have plus 1, because there is an invisible 1 in the front of this ears, as the coefficient of this x. You understand? So I replace this one by 13 minus 12. If you take the difference between 13 and 12, you're going to have what? Plus 1. You understand? Okay, so let us proceed. Here, I'm going to have x squared. Okay, now open the bracket. Plus 13x minus 12x minus 156 equals to 0. Do you understand it to this point? If you didn't understand, kindly reverse the video and listen to the explanation again. Okay, so having gotten here, all you have to do now is to factorize. Okay, but before we factorize, I'm going to separate this equation into two. The first part being here and the second part being this. You understand? So I'm going to have separated the equation into two. Now I'm going to factorize each part. Let us start for the first part. What is common to x squared and 13x? X is common, so I'm going to have x into bracket x plus 13. Are you paying attention? Now, what is common to negative 12x and negative 156? Negative 12 is common, so I'm going to have minus 12 into bracket x plus 13. You see, when you are dealing with, when you get to this point, what you have in the first bracket must be the same as what you have in the second bracket. You understand? So otherwise, you are not going to get this. You are not going to get the right answer. If you factorize your own quadratic equation and you see that what you have here is not the same thing as what you have here, that means that something is wrong. Okay, what you have here, you must have the same thing in the second bracket. Okay, as you can see, I have x plus 13 and x plus 13, and if you open this bracket, you are still going to have all this. Okay, so having gotten here, you can see that the content in both brackets are the same. So I'm going to take one bracket. So I'm going to have, for this, I'm going to have x plus 13 equals to 0. Okay, this is equals to 0. X plus 13 equals to 0. Then, now I'm going to combine the factored, you understand, outside the bracket, that is x and negative 12. So I'm going to have x minus 12 equals to 0 as well. Now x will be equals to, now if this 13 crosses the equals to sign, it's going to change to negative. That is negative 13, and x is equals to 12 as well. So the two numbers are negative 13 and 12. You understand? So that is the solution to that question. Okay, let's have another question. The sum of two consecutive odd numbers is negative 4. Find the two numbers. What are odd numbers? Odd numbers are numbers that differs by 2. You understand? When we talk about consecutive odd number, these numbers differs by 2. So let's say the first number is 1, the second number will be what? Will be 3. You understand? Because the two consecutive odd number differs by 2. So that means that, please pay attention. If the first number is 5, the second number will be what? 5 plus 2. That will be what? 7. 5 and 7. Are you paying attention? But now we don't know the number. You understand? We are asked to determine the number. I just cite this example so that you will know the difference between the two consecutive odd number. When we talk about two consecutive odd number, these numbers differs by 2. You understand? Okay, what are odd number? Example of odd number are 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 9, 11. We have 13, we have 15. Those are odd number. And if you take note of the difference between these two, those odd numbers that I just mentioned, we realize that those numbers differ by what? By 2. You understand? So when we talk about two consecutive odd number, we are talking about numbers that differs by 2. You understand? The difference between these numbers is 2. So we don't know this number. We are asked to determine the number. Now, how do we do that? You see, we are still going to proceed with the same approach. Let's look at the question. The sum of two consecutive odd number is -4. So since we don't know the two consecutive odd number, we're going to say that let the first number that is, let the first number be y. You understand? The second number will be what? Will be y plus 1. The second number will be y plus 2. Okay? The second number will be y plus 2 because we are now dealing with two consecutive odd number. If it is ordinary two consecutive number, you know that two consecutive number differs by 1. So we are going to have y plus 1. But it is odd number, you understand? And I've already explained to you, okay? So the second number will be y plus 2. Now, the sum of these two number is -4. So let's take their sum. y plus 2 equals to -4. So here I'm going to have 2y plus 2 equals to -4. Are you paying attention? You have been given in the question that the sum of these two numbers is equals to -4. So I just take their sum, y plus 2. So here I'm going to connect like terms. 2y is equals to -4. If this positive 2 crosses the equals to sign, it's going to change to negative. So I'm going to have -2. Okay, you understand? So I'm going to have 2y is equals to -4, -2. What will be the answer? -6. -6 divided by 2. This over 2. Y is equals to -6 divided by 2. What is the answer? That is -3. So y is equals to -3. So the first number is what? Is -3. That is -3. And the second number is what? Y plus 2. The first number is y. So y is what? -3. The second number is y plus 2. So y plus 2 will be equals to -3 plus 2. So that will be what? -3 plus 2 is what? -1. So that will be -1. Do you see now? So the two numbers are, please pay attention. The two numbers are -3 and -1. Okay? The two numbers are -3 and -1. You can see now. So that is the solution to the question. You see, when you are dealing with word problem, they want to test your ability to interpret question. Okay? Even though you know, I'm very sure if you come across this question, ordinarily you'll be able to solve it. But how do you derive this equation if you didn't understand how to if your knowledge is not deep in word problem? Okay? So it is very important that you learn how to solve word problem so that by the time you come across this question in exam, you will not fail. That is the solution to the question. You see, it is very important. So it is very important that you learn how to interpret question. And so if you want to do that, you have to practice more questions. So if you want more questions, you can check the playlist on this channel. Okay, watch those videos, practice the question, and you'll become better. Okay, so let's have the third work example. Okay, adding 42 to a given positive number gives the same result as squaring the number. Find the number. Okay, now if you look at that question, you will discover that, okay, let me erase this. Adding 42 to a given positive number. Okay, solution. Now we want to construct our equation now. Okay, we don't know the number. Okay, we are not given the number. We are only given an information that is related to the number, and the information is that if we add 42 to a given positive number, the same result is as squaring the number. Now let's say let the number be any letter. You understand? In this case, I'm going to choose A. Let the number be A. Okay. So here I'm going to add 42 to A. So I'm going to have A plus 42 is equals to. Now let's go back to the question. Adding 42 to a given positive number, we have already added 42. The same result is the same, gives the same result as squaring the number. So now that means that if we add 42 to A is equals to A squared. You can see now. Do you understand what I did here? That is the interpretation of the question. If we add 42 to a given number, we are going to have the same result as the square of the number. We don't know the number, so we represent it as A. So I add A to 42, I add 42 to A. Then I is equals to the square of A. You understand? Okay? Now, from this point, this is a quadratic equation because the highest power of the unknown is what? Is 2. So I'm going to collect right hand. I'm going to have A squared minus A minus 42 is equals to 0. Okay? You know what I did? Look, I just moved this A to the other side of the equation and I move this 42 to the other side of the equation. So if this A crosses the equals to sign, it's going to change to negative. So I have negative A. If this positive 42 crosses the equals to sign, it's going to change to negative. So I'm going to have negative 42. Do you understand? Equals to 0. Okay? Now, how do we solve this question? We can solve this question using three methods. Either completing the squared, the general formula, or the factorization method. Okay, but in this case, I'm going to make use of the formula method. Okay, here I'm going to have A is equals to minus B plus or minus square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. This is the formula method. Okay, in this case, A is okay. This A that you see here is not the same as the A in the parameters of the formula. Okay, A here is the coefficient of A squared. You understand? And the coefficient of A squared is what? Is 1. Hello, please pay attention. B is the coefficient of A, and the coefficient of A is what? Is negative 1. You understand? And C is the constant term. The constant term in the quadratic equation is what? Negative 42. Okay, please, all you have to do is just to pay attention. These are simple things that you have to understand. Okay, we've learned this in our previous class, so I didn't expect you to find it difficult to solve. Okay, so here let us proceed. A is equals to minus 1 because B is what? B is minus 1. Minus 1 plus or minus square root of B squared. That is negative 1 squared minus 4AC minus 4 multiplied by 1 multiplied by negative 42 all over 2 multiplied by 1 because 2 A is what? A is 1. Maybe I should write it out. A is equals to 1, B is equals to negative 1, and C is equals to negative 42. Okay, so all you have to do is just to simplify this. Let's proceed. A is equals to 1 plus or minus square root of negative 1 square is 1. So negative 42 multiplied by negative 4, that is give us 168. That is plus 168 plus 168 all over 2, because 2 multiplied by 1 will give us 2. Okay, so here I'm going to have A is equals to 1 plus or minus square root of 169 all over 2. Now, we have gotten to this point. What is the square root of 169? The square root of 169 is 13. So I'm going to have A is equals to 1 plus or minus 13 all over 2. Okay? So I'm going to separate this now. A is equals to 1 plus 13 all over 2, or 1 minus 13 all over 2. Okay? A is equals to 14 all over 2, or negative 12 all over 2. Okay, A is equals to 7 or negative 6. Okay, so please pay attention. Please kindly pay attention. Let's go back to the question. Adding 42 to a given positive number, the same result is as squaring the number. Now, if you look at the question, we are given that the number is positive. Are you paying attention? So we are going to pick the positive a. You understand? We have negative a and we have positive a. The positive a is what? 7, and the negative a is what? Negative 6. You understand? So a is equals to 7, which is the number, because we are given in the question that the number is positive. So a is equals to 7, which is the answer. Now let us check if this if 7 fits into if 7 fits into our equation. You understand? Okay, we have a plus 42 is equals to a squared. Let us substitute the value of a into this quadratic equation. A plus 42, I'm going to have 7 plus 42 is equals to 7 squared. Is this correct? Let's check. 7 plus 42 is what? 49. So I'm going to have 49. Now 7 squared is what? 49. So I'm going to have 49 as well. So the solution to that question is a is equals to 7. Okay. So that will be all for this class. If you have any question regarding this class, So that will be all for this class. If you have any question regarding what we've learned in this class, kindly let me know in the comment section, okay? So don't forget to like and share the video, okay? And also, if you want to be part of this channel, subscribe to the channel, but please don't forget to like and share the video, okay? See you in the next class.